Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the Human Echoes Rundown. This week we're talking about The Fate of the Furious, the 8th film in the Fast and Furious franchise. For those of you who are just now getting it, yes, F8 also spells fate. Love that poster, love that joke. They actually put that word in the movie too. They dropped fate like 8 times, just so you know. Guys, it's actually about fate. Although it's only in one scene, which is weird. Regardless of that, though, as I often do, I must preface this with my previous experience with this franchise. And I gotta tell you guys, I love the Fast and Furious movies as they have become. Like, I could take or leave the original Fast and the Fast and the Furious. I've seen Too Fast, Too Furious like maybe a couple times. Really not like the hardest core fan, but I'm so much digging what they have done with the franchise from Fast 5 onward, turning it into this just over the top kind of macho metal like superhero with cars type of universe. That just rocks me to my very core. It tickles all my buttons. I understand that it's stupid and ridiculous, and I will laugh at it for being stupid and ridiculous, but I do not look down at it, because Hollywood thinks this is easy. All right? At least you have the tendency to feel like we can just throw some fast cars in and some explosions and some pretty people. It'll be a great movie. Everybody's going to go see it. And sometimes you can slide by a bad movie with, slow motion and explosions and things like that. But I think most of the time, people notice when you don't have a good movie. When you make a movie like this and you haven't crafted a story that works from a beat to beat, emotional level for all these characters, you're gonna come up short. And the Fast and the Furious franchise more or less has really kept that up, kept the style of storytelling that they needed to have up. I know that we're not, I'm gonna get kickback from people who will say, it's simplistic and dumb, Albert. Yes, but there's a way to do simplistic and dumb that's fun, okay? And lots of people don't do it right. Fast and Furious has done it right in the past, continues to do it right. And the plot of this movie, we kick things off with Dom in Cuba. Apparently he has a cousin there, and we get sort of a superfluous scene where Dom races sort of a local crime lord, possibly? Or just like a loan shark, let's say. He's coming to collect some money. The cousin doesn't have the money. And Dom does his famous quote, it's not about what's under the hood, it's who's behind the wheel. And the guy says, all right, you're going to race me for this car. You're not going to race me in your nice car. You're going to race me in this piece of crap car. And it just kicks everything off in exactly the way that you want Fast and Furious to do. It kind of sets the bar, honestly. Of the ridiculous stuff that happens in this movie, the opening scene is maybe, in terms of scale, like it's not as big as what you've seen in the trailer with like the nuclear submarine and everything, but it goes so bonkers with stuff that like I'm pretty sure cars don't work exactly that way. I feel like that's not a real thing, but it sort of sets the tone there where he's racing this car, essentially blowing it up. He crosses the finish line in a car that's on fire and backwards. Okay, that's a little bit of a spoiler. First 20 minutes of the movie, though, I don't really feel like that's ruined too much of the plot for you, but Dom wins the race on fire and backwards. And they're planting their flag and they're saying, just in case you walked into this and you thought, I think I'll go see this Fate of the Furious movie. I've just gotten out of Manchester by the Sea, and this seems like a good follow-up. Maybe you're in the wrong movie, okay? Maybe that wasn't the movie you wanted to go to, because this is a movie where Dominic Toretto is so awesome that he beats a guy in a hot rod with an old jalopy, and he does it backwards and on fire. the the themes of this movie too, I really resonated with me because, and they set this up really well in that first scene too, where it's about Dom helping out his family, and family has been sort of the buzzword for this series the whole way through. Always been it's about family, family, and it's become kind of a meme at this point, right? But what I love about The Fate of the Furious is it actually takes a look at the memification of family in this franchise and says, okay, yeah, but really, what is it like to have a family? What does it mean to be part of a family? And it's interesting because what we've seen, what the franchise does so well is it's this escapism, yes, because of the action and the explosions, but it's also, in a sense, it parallels the romanticized version of Pirates. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies, right? You're not watching that because you're on board with stealing and murder and pillaging and like doing bad stuff to people. You're watching that because there's this sense that there's freedom with piracy. And in these Fast and the Furious movies, they've painted this picture of these guys who, yeah, they're a group together and you have the camaraderie and the bonds and everything, but they just kind of get to do what they want to do because they're ballers and they're awesome. And Fate of the Furious, at its core, kind of takes a step back from that and says, yeah, these guys are baller and they are awesome. But you know what family is? It's restrictive. And I can say that as someone who has a family, all right? I have a wife, I have 2 kids, and they depend on me, okay? They need me to be there in a real, like, physical sense. Like, I can't, if I thought, man, I'd really like to go visit the Grand Canyon, I'm just gonna, like, go hitchhiking off, see the Grand Canyon, live on some bread and some peanut butter, and, like, just experience life, man. Just live it out. I couldn't do that. I mean, I could, but I would be a douchebag because I have a family. And with this series being all about family, as they've said over and over again, this film finally tackles that. It tackles what ties, the aspect of family that ties you down. And the contrast between that and the sort of freewheeling criminal, let's do what we want to, and we're not really hurting anybody, so it's okay, even though people probably definitely died when we dropped that wrecking ball on them. But still, and there's a scene where it's spelled out specifically in dialogue. The villain is talking to Dom, and she tells him, you know, hey, I don't think you're actually about family. I think that you're about that, you know, that moment of freedom, those 10 seconds in your quarter mile where you're, you know, just, you don't have to worry about anything but you and the car and the road, and you can put everything out of your mind, and family comes second to that. And there's a moment later on, and you've seen it in the trailers, where Dominic is having to do this, the missions for this Cypher woman, that she's a hacker. The plot revolves around her essentially, I don't want to say how she has something over him, all right? She has information or leverage on him, again related to family, that is making him act against his team to get her stuff that she wants. And the rest of the team is trying to stop Dom and take him down. And you see all of these other cars in a circle around Dom, like with the hooks in them, pulling him apart. Not literally, but you see the pull, all the different directions that he's being pulled. And again, within this, and I totally get that this is bonkers crazy explosion fest movie, but within this theme that they're crafting of family as a constriction, that visual to me worked so well because it showed having to balance all of the different forces that pull you one way or another in your life as a person, the desire for freedom, but the desire for stability, you know, the need to protect the people that you love, but yet sometimes you want to get out and do your own thing. And having to try to keep that a balance can sometimes feel like you're being pulled apart. And they get that in this movie that is also dumb and stupid and over the top and just wonderfully action-packed. There are so many, I mean, just such a multitude of moments that I can't even unpack or comprehend. I could not tell you everything that's great about this movie. All the times that I laughed, all the times that I just really was wowed. But I will say, you do need to go into this, I think, and this is the first movie I'd really say this about in this franchise, but you kind of need to know the history of the Fast and the Furious movie, because you're talking about Dom and Letty's relationship and where they're at and why he means and she means so much to him, and the other people in his life that mean so much to him. And you're talking about the bad guys from the previous two movies whose names escape me, played by Jason Statham and the Luke Evans. You're talking about them and their linkage to everything that's going on, and it's kind of this. I heard that. In fact, I saw Spectre. Spectre tried to pull the whole, like, I've been behind the scenes pulling the strings the whole time, even though those adventures seemed completely unconnected. But they pull a thing that's kind of like that, and in the process, and you get a hint of this in the trailers, but Jason Statham is now on the team. And I was worried that they were not going to sell this, or that it wasn't going to work. And I don't want to be more specific than I've already been, but I thought that they handled Jason Statham's character really well and painted him in a light that worked for the movie and let you go along with the tone that they were trying to establish. It just worked. Every bit of it, all the action, all the craziness, all the Rock's many one-liners, like so many close-ups on the Rock saying just bonkers stuff. And all the other guys too. Ludacris is still amazing in this. All the other characters, they got the hacker lady back, and she's doing her hacker thing, and you get all these great sequences of people pounding on keyboards, and oh, she's locked me out, and oh, like hacker battle stuff in between people driving cars, and probably, well, if you're any kind of fan of the franchise, you have to be on board with this one, because this one just keeps rolling. And not only does it keep rolling from the past, but you can tell that they're building up even more momentum for the future. They're setting pieces in place to fall. These dominoes are going to fall and hit each other and make an even bigger story for Fast 9. I wholeheartedly endorse. If you are, again, if you are the person that I was mocking earlier, and I really do enjoy like drama and deep storytelling and character-driven stuff. But if you look down your nose at stuff that isn't that, this is not the kind of movie for you. It's not breaking the mold. It's not like the Fast and Furious movie that finally like really gets serious. It's not that. But it continues to be another stellar entry in this franchise that has had a real good run of stellar entries. Not perfect. There are moments where I felt like, I don't know. I mean, it is crazy over the top action, and I can't go like 100%, but if I'm rating this, it's like a 9. It's a 9, and I dug it to death. And that's what I thought. If you guys saw the movie, let me know what you thought in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion, and I'll see you guys next week with another episode of the Human Echoes Rundown. Take care.